All right. Next one up is Braelon Allen from Wisconsin. I do have his stats up here this past season here. 181 carries, 984 yards, 12 touchdowns, 28 receptions for 132 receiving yards, and 0 touchdowns. So, Tyler, how do you feel about Allen?
I go against the grain when it comes to Allen. I personally love Braelon Allen. Going into this offseason, post Travion Henderson news that he wasn't going to the draft, I had Braelon Allen as my RB1. He's fallen a little bit just as things have kind of fluctuated, but he's still a guy that, in the right spot, I could see him being my RB1. I kind of wanted him to be the Derrick Henry replacement in Tennessee. Now that backfield is jumbled, and I really am hoping, cross my fingers, that he doesn't go there. But he's just been one of those guys that you watch, and he plays Big Ten ball, and he plays Big Ten ball well. He's this big, beefy running back who's going to hit you and going to run you over, and he's gonna get his yards, and he's going to do it in a way that is him, right? He's just this enormous, athletic, overbearing back. And he's a guy that, I personally loved watching, and he's a guy that I think is going to be able to be a great piece for for a team in the NFL, right? Yeah. We talk about age. We talked about Jonathan Brooks. This isn't an overly young class, but we talked about Jonathan Brooks being 21, going to be possibly 22 before we get the full version of Jonathan Brooks, depending on how that ACL heals. Braelon Allen in January just turned 20 years old. So you want to talk about a longevity guy. He has, some wear on his tires. We've got 186 carries in 21, which was his, 18-year-old breakout freshman year, 230 last year, and 181 this past year. But he's just a guy that, the age and the ability intrigue me. He's not going to do a ton in terms of pass catching. We did have 28 receptions this past year, but an average of under 5 yards a reception. So, even if he gets the ball, he's not going too far downfield. But he's a guy that I like in terms of getting north and south. And sometimes that's, just the old head in me watching football. Some guys try and do too much and get stuck and don't gain a single yard, where if they just put their head down, they would have gotten at least 1 or 2, right? And so he has good enough footwork to be semi-elusive. I don't want to say fully elusive because this is a, 6'1", 235-pound man. He's not going to be overly elusive just at his size. But, contact balance is great. He's able to, push defenders off and kind of run them away from him. And he's a guy, he does leave a little bit to be desired in terms of elusiveness and kind of being able to work east to west and somewhat of a stretch offense as opposed to, just halfback dive every time, pick a hole and go hit someone. But the age mixed with the production and the ability, which is possibly just in my mind, the ability of old head football where you just go run someone over. I think that he is possibly going to work his way back up in my rankings. He's a guy, obviously we want landing spot, but he's a guy that I could see also fitting kind of into that Harbaugh system that he is ideally going to want to build with the Chargers, where he's just going to get a young guy that he can develop. It might not be Blake Corum who knows the offense, but he's getting a guy that's, 2-3 years younger than Blake Corum with a little bit less wear on him. And he's got the size to compete with a lot of these NFL players. And so he's a guy, he's fallen out of my RB1 right now. There's a chance he goes back up into it depending on draft capital and landing spot. But he's just a guy that I like watching play football because he goes and hits someone.
No, we all love that. Yeah, he's my RB6 right now. Allen is interesting, I think, for sure. I think there's a ton of potential for him to do well at the next level if he can get into the right coaching staff. Again, like you said, he's 20 years old. A man isn't going to go down easily at the NFL level. Like, he's going to go at the NFL and he can compete with these big guys. Like, he's not going to go down very easily. One of the better visions in this class. I think he's got, honestly, I think the top 3 for me in terms of vision. I kind of see him as a much improved Damian Harris to some extent. Damian Harris was just a guy, but Allen could be 10 times better than just a guy. He has, I think, a guy who can be a workhorse back at the NFL level. Again, didn't do much as a pass catcher, but I think there's still potential for him to do things. Got really strong hands overall to be able to catch the ball. Great after contact. Again, for me, the few things is he had a fumbling issue in college. Something I'm hoping he can get cleared up with the right coaching staff. In terms of, he's not going to be a guy that can just stop and go very easily. Like, he's got to go full steam ahead, or like things don't really always work out in his favor there. Footwork, like I said, it's just okay. It's fine. He's not going to make a ton of defenders miss, but he can roll over them pretty quickly with the base on how he's built, 6'1", 235. I'm intrigued where he lands because I think landing spot will be key for him long term, and he's definitely would be somebody that you could invest in hopefully a late second round pick, and hopefully it will blossom, maybe not in year 1, but blossom in year 2, year 3, where he gets his footing as an NFL running back at 22 years old and really make some noise in his final 2 years under a rookie contract. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do.
And Braelon Allen is one of those guys, as we get into draft season, especially for podcasts and shows like we do, this is one of those reasons that we promote Dynasty Nerds as much as we do, because you can go look at 10 different articles or watch 10 different podcasts, and you're going to get 10 different answers on guys like Braelon Allen. And that's just how he's viewed, right? Some people have him as RB1. Some people have him as RB27, right? And he falls everywhere in between. So this is one of those guys, next week is our receiver show, if I'm not mistaken.
Quarterbacks.
Next week's quarterbacks. Okay.
Yes.
So when we get to receivers, right, we talk about Marvin Harrison. You can probably trust what we're saying about Marvin Harrison and a lot of these elite guys, right? And you can trust what we're saying about Braelon Allen. We take the time to watch the film, and we have our own, biases and things that we like and don't like. But also use that code coach and go watch the film for yourself, right? Because you can listen to us all day and either love what we tell you or hate what we tell you, but also dive into it, because your thoughts on Braelon Allen might be different than mine or Steve's or any guests that we have. And that could happen for a lot of different prospects. But Braelon Allen is just one of those guys that, as I've looked at the media and how people have portrayed him, their views have been different than mine, and they've been different than a lot of other people that I've read or listened to. So, obviously, please come listen to the coaches. We love having you here. We love the audience. But also use code COACH at Dynasty Nerds and go watch the film and see what you think on Braelon Allen.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to watch the videos, the film on him, because you get your own perspective on it, and then you can compare what other people are seeing and kind of seeing, what am I missing? What are they maybe missing, and things like that. And ever since I've watched on film the last 3 or 4 years now, and it's greatly improved my rookie content when I'm drafting, because I have, I think, a better understanding overall on some of these players than just listening to somebody. Again, we want you to listen to us, but having that visual aspect is definitely a